Hello to the small but rapidly growing community of people who are interested in the philosophical analysis of popular culture, but who still spend the day trawling YouTube. Right, so today I'm going to do something that really you're not supposed to do, which is to play Candy Crush on purpose at a scheduled time, rather than play it in between trying to get actual work done and doing things that are really useful. I'll come back to that point later. The purpose of this video is to show how and why Candy Crush is deserving of an ideological critique. Compare our attitudes to these kinds of mobile phone games with our attitudes to mainstream cinema. Hollywood films have, at least since the 80s, been taken very seriously and are considered to be what we might call symptoms of our culture. That is, we all know that they show us important truths about our society and about what we enjoy and why we enjoy it. On the contrary, mobile phone games are treated as nothing more than meaningless distractions, and we don't interrogate these. Even though today it's things like Candy Crush that can tell us some of the very important truths about our social and political structures. When we do consider these games, we tend to do so on the level of neuroscience and psychology. People have studied how video games affect us as bodies with brains, and we all know about how these games affect the production of serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. Creators of catchy video games sometimes even consult scientists and psychology experts for advice on how to make their games more catchy, how to get into our brains. But this does not mean that the games don't operate on an ideological level as well. So to begin with a close reading, what can we say is behind these images on screen now? Well, first, the Candy Crush world presents us with the task of organization. The candy must be organized, and if there is an ultimate aim of Candy Crush, it would be to create order. We should ask ourselves, what would it be like if we achieved the literally impossible and completed the game? Would it look like this? A neat and tidy sweet shop with every treat in its correct compartment with fellow sweets of its type? Also, we should notice the simple and calming music that plays in the background as we sort out this mild mess. Whenever we put the candy into order, a little noise sounds, and this is a moment our brain experiences as a satisfying burst of pleasure. As the game develops and we get to the timed levels, the atmosphere radically changes. We're now presented with a true image of disorder, where the player faces the frantic task of reorganizing a fragmented world and protecting it from its impending collapse, signaled by the timer, counting down towards ultimate breakdown. Because we unconsciously remember the soft music of level 1 and the peaceful society in which our candy formerly dwelt, we are now anxious to restore lost order. The logic of Candy Crush is to involve us in a surreptitiously right-wing politics, encouraging us to feel nostalgic for lost days of order and feel stressed by potential change. Sweets, in fact, seem to play a role in our society that is connected closely to nostalgia, as these ye old sweet shops seen across the UK and Hong Kong demonstrate. But I ought to stop playing, to stop wasting my time on such a meaningless task, because really, I've got much more important things to do with my life. While I play this, my office has become like a level 3000 of Candy Crush, and I have the important task of returning to work. This presents us with the real reason we play a game like this one. We are really trying to convince ourselves that, despite the appearance to the contrary, we're important. We might feel like we're wasting our lives at work, but playing Candy Crush teaches us what wasting time really is. After playing, we can see the truth. We're important. We're too important for this game, and really, we shouldn't waste our time playing it. It works the same for everyone. It was well reported that David Cameron has completed all the levels of Angry Birds. Let me go over this again. We often say things like, "I know it's bullshit, but I enjoy it anyway," as if we enjoy it despite the fact that it's a pile of rubbish, as if it is what some people might call a guilty pleasure. But in fact, we're enjoying it because it's mundane and pointless, because it makes us feel that our jobs and other social activities are really contrasting to this type of enjoyment, that whilst this is a waste of our time, there are other activities that we do, other parts of our lives that are really worth something. It's most common that we play these games when we are at work, or while we're on the train to work or on the way home. But these are moments when we might be reflecting on our working conditions. Instead, we distract ourselves. And this distraction stops us organizing any opposition to what is. More than that, because it convinces us that our work is really worthwhile by comparison, it sends us back to the office with renewed passion. In other words, Candy Crush turns potential resistance into a renewed determination to hold on to what we have.